Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Now, before we go any further, I got to correct something. I've been offering the book by Samuel Dawson, and I've said it was something like Avenging the Apostles and Prophets. The book is actually Revelation Realized, Revelation Revealed. Oh, here we go. Well, see, here's the problem. I'm going strictly on memory, and my inventory, including Sam's book, is in a storage building 5 miles away. So I was trying to think and trying to remember, all the while trying to share this with you. And, I'm getting old. So I couldn't remember the exact precise name of the book. I'll get that name, and we'll have it listed on the website. My apologies. The book is not yet listed on the website, but it will be very, very shortly. And again, if you order the book and you mention that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, I'll refund your shipping. So, again, my apologies for that. I thought it was already listed on the website. I don't do those listings myself. And so, anyway, that's kind of where we're at. But we'll make that right. And it will be on the website very, very shortly. And believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, you want a copy of this book. It is absolutely wonderful. All right. To pick back up with where we were yesterday, remember the common theme that I've been sharing with you. Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following is based upon Joel 2 and 3. Joel 2 and 3 foretold the last days, the day of the Lord, the avenging of the blood of the martyrs. Isaiah chapters 2 through 4, parallel. The last days, the day of the Lord, the avenging of the blood. Not only that, Jesus interpreted and applied Isaiah 2 to AD 70. Now that means that Joel and the day of the Lord and the avenging of the blood is AD 70. Which means that Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following is AD 70. And then I've been sharing with you over the last couple of videos how Deuteronomy chapter 32 serves as the template, serves as the blueprint, actually, for Joel and Isaiah. And there's a great deal of scholarly consensus that says Jesus' entire ministry, Paul's ministry, was based upon Deuteronomy 32. It is paradigmatic for both Jesus and Paul. And boy, this is important. So what do we have? We have the Song of Moses, in which Moses predicted the last days, in which Moses predicted Israel becoming utterly corrupt, filling the measure of their sin. Now, let me turn over there and read to you some of the really, really, really critical texts from Deuteronomy that help us in our understanding as to why the song is paradigmatic for the New Testament. Now, remember, Moses said the song is about many, many generations to come in the future from him. It was not near. And he spoke about the coming of the wicked and perverse generation. And remember, Peter said that generation was present 2,000 years ago. Remember, Paul said that generation was present 2,000 years ago. Now, once again, how do we ignore these applications? So in Deuteronomy chapter 32, in speaking of that generation far off from him, that generation to come, Moses said, Jeshurun, that's Jerusalem. It literally means the beloved. So it's speaking about the apostasy of Israel. Okay? Jeshurun, the beloved, grew fat, slothful, and sinful. So once again, to reiterate, it's talking about how Israel, in that generation far removed from Moses, that wicked and perverse generation, the beloved would apostatize. Okay, but Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, you grew thick, you are obese. Then he forsook God who made him, and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with foreign gods. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons, not to gods they did not know, to new gods, new arrivals that your fathers did not fear. Of the rock who begat you, you are not mindful, and have forgotten the God who fathered you. I got to tell you, boy, I could spend a lot of time right there. This is such rich imagery that is used commonly, both throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. But let me just remind you of something. In Isaiah chapter 27, a prediction of the resurrection, it said that the time of the taking away of Israel's sin would be the time in which God would no longer have mercy on the people whom he had created. Why? Because they were a people who were not mindful. They had forsaken their God. That's a direct echo of Deuteronomy 32, verse 18. Now, Paul applied Isaiah 27 to his generation. That's significant. Okay, got to hurry on. And when the Lord saw it, he spurned them because of their provocation of his sons and daughters. And he said, watch. Now remember, this is the result of the beloved one forsaking God. When the Lord saw it, he spurned them because of the provocation of his sons and daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. Now watch, this is critical. I will see what their end will be. Did you catch that? Now watch. For they are a perverse generation. Now in Matthew 17 and 17, Jesus applied this verse to his generation. So what's that mean? It means we have Jesus applying the song about the perverse generation to his generation. We have Peter applying the song and the perverse prediction of the perverse generation to his generation. It means that Paul applied the song and the prophecy of the coming perverse generation to his generation. What more evidence do we need? The New Testament writers are applying Deuteronomy 32 to the first century generation. And notice that God is saying, I'm talking about their last end. This is Israel's last days. Now look, folks, this is not talking about the last days of time. This is not talking about the end of the Christian age. It's not talking about the end of the Messianic age, as if those are two different things. They are children, to continue. They are children in whom is no faith. And again, Jesus applied this to his generation, Matthew 17:17. They have provoked me to jealousy by what is not God. They have moved me to anger by their foolish idols, but I will provoke them to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I will move them to anger by a foolish nation. Wait a minute. Do you realize that in Romans 10, Romans 11, Paul quoted directly from right here, Deuteronomy 32:21, about how God had been provoked to anger by Israel. They had rejected the call of God to accept Messiah. And as a result of their rejection of the gospel, The Lord said, I am going to provoke them to jealousy because I'm going to call a nation that has never known me, a nation that's not even a nation, really. I'm going to provoke them to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I will move them to anger by a foolish nation. It's calling of the Gentiles, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? Once again, Paul quotes these verses to justify his ministry to the Gentiles. So we have a fourfold application of Deuteronomy 32 to the first century generation. Jesus applied it, Matthew 17:17, to his generation. Peter applied it, Acts chapter 2, to his generation. Paul applied it, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, to his generation. Philippians chapter 2, verse 15. And then here we are again. Paul, Romans 10, Romans 11, applying Deuteronomy 32 to his generation. Now, look, I didn't intend to spend all this much time on Deuteronomy 32, but since it is indeed so paradigmatic, since it is quoted, cited, alluded to so many times by the New Testament writers, P.N.D. Walker, in a marvelous work, Messengers of the Good News, Heralds of the Good News, takes note of how often the New Testament writers, Paul especially, use Deuteronomy 32 to justify the mission of the church in the first century. David Nanos, The Mystery of God in Romans, likewise takes note of Paul's use of Deuteronomy 32 as paradigmatic for his ministry. So I give all of that to remind you that what I'm saying is not a preterist invention, okay? It is something that is recognized by some of the finest scholars in the world. Deuteronomy 32 serves as the template, the blueprint, the outline, the roadmap, if you please, for Jesus' ministry, Paul's ministry, for Peter, and John in Revelation. Next Monday, I'm going to try to draw this down to a close by bringing all of these different tenets together about, Joel 2, last days, day of the Lord, avenging the blood. Isaiah chapter 2 through 4, last days, day of the Lord, avenging of the blood, which Jesus applied to AD 70. And again, next Monday, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about the context of Deuteronomy 32 and see that specific application to the New Testament doctrine of eschatology, proving that since Matthew 25, 31 and following is the same as Joel, which is the same as Isaiah, which is the same as Luke 23, etc., all of which are applied to the first century. That means Matthew 25, 31 and following was fulfilled in AD 70. Okay. Hey, don't forget, join me tomorrow as we continue our discussion of why N.T. Wright is wrong on the redemption of creation. I'll see you on the flip side.